most decorated street skaters of all time, Ryan Sheckler. He's the youngest gold medalist in X Games history. What's up, and welcome to Brando's World of X Games. So excited for our next guest, owner of 7 X Games medals, one of the most influential skateboarders of our generation. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Ryan Sheckler. Shecks, before we get going, isolation, quarantine, 2020, how you been keeping busy?
Man, I've just been trying to stay on my toes. You know, it's been one of those times where, you know, we've never had to deal with this. No one's ever been through this situation. So thank God that I have a skate park of my own. So I've been spending a lot of time in the park, just kind of brushing up on tricks, but also just like going in there and kind of just letting it be. You know, there's nothing really that I've been working on. I've just been letting it kind of roll. You know, I've been having a ton of fun in there, and I had to spend more time in there because I started destroying everything in my house. I was skating everything in my house, and getting some calls from my mom like, hey, you know, if you break that coffee table, it's going to be hard to get another one. So, you know, just kind of trying to do my part, and definitely social distancing. When I'm skating in my park, it's really just me and my brothers, and we're keeping the park clean. And, you know, other than that, it's not, there's not really much going on. I've been working a lot with Sandlot Times, the media house company that I'm trying to create at this moment. So it's been nice to have time to actually put into that. Working a lot with Oakley, trying to do some fun things that are coming up. Also with Red Bull, we're working on some cool stuff that's going to be very viewer friendly, and it's actually going to get the skate community to be involved with a lot of judging and kind of things that we're working on inside my park. So, and then other than that, man, I just been I really picked up meditating. I've been meditating a lot, and doing a lot of like I guess breathing exercise. It's called breath works, but really just starting my day off with gratitude. You know, gratitude, being thankful for what I do have, and thankful for where I do live, and, you know, thankful for my family and skateboarding, and, you know, like the small things. You know, the small things are very important to me at this point in time, and I feel like it really starts my day off right, just to get grounded, get real, and do some meditating, do some breathing, and then, you know, kind of just roll into the day without really any expectations. And that's been keeping me really calm and collected. And I definitely am excited to once the quarantine kind of gets lifted, I'm going to be able to start filming for my Red Bull video part. So that's been a big excitement for me, something to really look forward to. And yeah, other than that, man, just, you know, trying to stay in contact, doing a lot more FaceTime, a lot more Zoom meetings, and, you know, just staying connected with the people I love and care about, and, you know, trying to, I don't know, man, just taking it day by day, honestly.
It's interesting to hear you say that even pre-quarantine that you really have tried to focus on the small things, because I would imagine for someone like you, since you were probably 12 or 13 years old when you won your first X Games gold medal, it was probably, you know, a one part you thinking it, one part everyone kind of telling you about the big things. And we've got big plans in store for Ryan Sheckler. What a departure it must be mentally to be able to sort of micro that and to take into consideration really what you truly value, as you said, the smaller things. What a departure that must be focus wise for you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's easy to get caught up when, you know, the world's running at 100 miles an hour, to get caught up in, you know, what do I got to do tomorrow? What, you know, to me, it keeps me from being present. It keeps me from being in the moment, where it's like, you know, even if I was doing something, I'm still thinking, well, what are the repercussions of this? You know, what does the future hold? Or, you know, you go into a situation that might be new, but you can kind of relate it to something in the past. And it's like, I was juggling with like living in the past and then preparing for the future, and never really being here, and never really being being present. And it's so powerful to just kind of take a breath and just, you know, realize that, like, you know, the future, we don't know what's in the future. We don't. And like what's in the past has already happened. So it really doesn't do me any good, or anyone really, to like think about or dwell in the past. And it's a real interesting practice to be present and to be, you know, right here, right now. And um, yeah, I've just really been enjoying it. I've really been just exploring my mind and my thoughts, and that's why the meditation has been super powerful, and the breathing work, and, you know, in the Bible, doing the Bible studies, and just really getting into the Word, and you know, the Scripture. And yeah, I don't, man, for me this time is pretty awesome. It's pretty enlightening. So um, you know, obviously I want it to lift, and I want to get back out in the streets, and get back to real business. But I'm making do with what we got right now. And I think that's the key, is just to, you know, try to work on patience. And I know it's hard, but, you know, especially for me as well, it's hard, but it is a practice that is obtainable. And um, yeah, it's just interesting, man. It's an interesting time, but I'm enjoying myself. You know, I'm enjoying my dog and just kicking it with my pup. And, you know, thank God I have a roommate, so, you know, I'm not alone. And yeah, you know, I got my brothers and got the skate park, and I'm just cruising.
You mentioned you're starting a media company. What was that? Sandlot Time? What is that? What is it?
Yeah, so Sandlot Times, you know, we have the Instagram account and everything, and it's basically it's just been the homies. It's been the homies at the park skating. And, you know, one of my favorite movies is Sandlot. Period. Top three will always be. And you know, the kind of the vibe that movie brings is just like the homies showing up and basically losing track of time. And so for me, the Sandlot is a place to just really follow your passion, and to just really be living in your passion. And so with Sandlot Times, you know, we want to do, it would be pretty skate based. But it's also, I want to do interviews with, you know, with musicians, with football players, with baseball players, NASCAR drivers. Like I want to figure out what their Sandlot is, you know, and what that means is, like, where do you lose track of time? Where is your passion? And then once they identify that, it's, well, why do you do it? You know, why do you create music? Why do you like driving, you know, at 200 miles an hour, you know, especially like motocross guys? Like, man, what is the drive behind it? What keeps you coming back? Not really the typical interview questions, more super in depth. Like, I'm trying to stump these guys, you know, like I'm trying to get them to think so deep about something that, you know, is their life, but they've never been asked these questions. So we got a lot of ideas for it, and we've had a lot of ideas for it, but never really had the time to kind of structure out how we want to run it. So this has been a perfect time to kind of dig deep into it, and see really what we can do. And you know, I've been in this action sports world for a long time, and through that I've met so many incredible people and so many entrepreneurs, and just I want to pick their brain. You know, I just want to pick their brain. So I think the way we'll roll out the Sandlot Times is a lot of really interesting interviews that are questions that people really want to know. You know, so working on that, and, you know, a bunch of other things.
Hey, you bring up, you know, what drives these people who are masters in their respective industries. And
yeah,
obviously I think that's what we're doing here with you. But I think about that movie, and it's top 5 for me as well. But I think about the age of the kids, like 12, 13 years old, going out and just playing baseball for the love of playing baseball out on a sandlot. When you were that age, you were doing it on the world's biggest stage. I mean,
yeah, it was wild.
Thinking about, I you know, we talk so much. You've got 3 X Games golds. You were 13 when you won. You became the youngest to ever medal, I believe, until Brighton Zoyner took that gold from you just a couple of years ago. I mean, I can't believe that record stood for as long as it did. But
I was psyched to be there. I was psyched to be there for Brighton. Yeah, I was there. I was there, and I got to give her a big hug. And, you know, it was it's cool having, you know, she's a fellow Red Bull rider, and it was cool having, that was cool to me, you know. It was it didn't hurt my feelings. It wasn't even an ego check, you know. It was one of those things where it's like it was just a matter of time, you know. The kids right now in every sport, every discipline, baseball, football, are getting so much gnarlier and so good so fast. So I was actually surprised it lasted as long as it did,
Yeah.
to be real. So
We talk so much about you winning it and oh, how that must have felt. I'm more curious, like being 13 and getting the invite to X Games. Like, do you
yeah.
remember that and like how did that even come about?
Oh man. I think the way that came about was through, I think it was through Castle, honestly, California Amateur Skateboarding League. I skated in Castle from when I was 6 years old to, yeah, until right about until 13. And I was in factory sponsored. And so I think by doing so well in Castle, I got the opportunity, I got the invite to, yeah, I don't really remember, man. I remember my mom was like, "Hey, you got invited to X Games." And I was like, "All right, like, well, let's go." You know, like
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, cool." And the way that the skate park was set up, it was really tiny. And it was a small park, but there was so much transition and it flowed really well. And you know, my biggest thing was always runs. I loved runs, and
Right.
you know, I remember my dad, because you know, for forever we didn't have, like, they wouldn't give you a course layout. So me and my dad would go to wherever we were going to compete, and we would take pictures of it and develop the photo, and then
No way.
yeah, and then draw it on a huge whiteboard.
Whoa.
We would draw the course out. My dad was an incredible artist, and he would draw the course out with everything that was on there. And then the week or 2 weeks before the contest, I had, you know, the big erasers, like those red erasers.
Yeah, of course.
So I would like have those eraser, and it had a little like pin in the top, and we would do my run. I would figure my run out before I had even got there. And so,
Whoa.
and I would just look at that, and I would do it all day long, and I would just like I could visualize. I've always been a big visualizer, so I would visualize what tricks were going to go where, and I could see myself doing it, and I could see how I wanted myself to do these tricks. And then by the time I actually got to the course, I would never warm up. It was never like I'm going to go skate. It was straight into what my line was going to be, and worked on it that way. And we did the same thing for X Games, because I think we had the course about a week early, and um, that's all we did. I knew what I was gonna do, and it was all about just executing it. And you know, I was having so much fun. I never been in a pro contest, obviously, so for me, it was still, I was in the glory zone still mentally. You know, I had nothing to lose and had no idea what I was going to gain from that. So for me, it was just like, well, just another contest, a lot more people, you know, crazy cameras, and the energy was wild. It gives me the chills right now. It was a wild, wild energy, but I had prepared for it. You know, I was prepared, and and then you know the glory happened, and it started at X Games, and then from that I got invited to go to, I think it was the Vans Triple Crown. They had a couple events, and then I won that, which was nuts. And then I got invited to Slam City Jam, and then I won Slam
Wow.
City. And then it was Gravity Games in Ohio was the last one of that year, and I won that one too. And so I swept that whole year as a 13-year-old, and um, yeah, and then it got real. It
Uh,
got really real.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Welcome to the big leagues, kid. How about you win everything you compete in? So at what point? And I think there was so much attention put on you at that age, and certainly the dominance presented itself for the next decade plus. But like, obviously, at 13, your first X Games, you're probably still in awe of skating with a lot of these pros that you probably grew up watching in contests or video
Oh yeah.
parts. At what point, at what, you know, was there a certain year or after you'd been doing events or pro contests for a couple of years where you felt like, not necessarily like I belong, because I think you proved it in your first event, you can skate with anybody in the world, but like from a camaraderie standpoint, even though most of the guys
Yeah.
were a lot older than you, when did you feel like,
They hated
I,
me, dude. They hated me. It was so crazy. it was crazy. I felt, I don't feel like I felt like I belonged for years, because I had pictures of these dudes that I was competing against, like in my room, like typical, you know, teenage skate rat. Like I
Yeah.
had photos of these dudes. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know, that 13th year of my life was just like, boom. And like, you know, I think they might've thought, all right, it was kind of a one-off, like this kid, whatever, he got lucky, you know. And then the second one happened. And then I started feeling the vibe. I started feeling like, these dudes don't want to talk to me. Like they don't want to talk to me. They don't, you know, and I had to, like, I was getting snaked all the time. Like I would, you know, get ready to drop in and they would snake me. And, you know, I remember my dad telling me, he was like, you're going to have to just stand up for yourself and just drop in. Like you might get hurt, but you need to just drop in. And from that point, I was like, you know what? F it, dude. Like, I'm not going to get punked by these guys. And it actually motivated me to, like, well, now I'm just going to beat you, you know, like that, you know, if this is how you're going to treat me, then I'm just going to beat you, period. And it worked for a while. And then I started realizing, like, man, I want to be friends with these guys. Like, I look up to these dudes. I want to be in this crowd. And I think also too, I got a little bit more respect when I took the helmet off, which I don't recommend for kids. You know, it's like, it's such a weird thing that, like, the helmet is such a stigma. And I think as a kid, man, you don't have the neck strength to, like, keep your head up from getting whiplash. And, you know, I've hit my head and been hospitalized from concussions a few times because I thought it was cool to not wear a helmet. And it's, you know, it comes down to you and your skill, and you knowing, like, how much time have you actually put on the board? How many situations have you been in where you've had to, like, really protect your head? And, like, I don't know, the helmet thing is weird, and we can talk about that later. But I think when I took the helmet off, they got a little bit, you know, I got a little bit more cool points. And I was just trying to fit in, dude. I knew I could skate. I knew I belonged there. But I was missing the camaraderie with the guys. And you know, there were dudes that were awesome, you know, like Carlos De Andrade and, like, Chad Barty and Chris Sin. Like, they gave me the time of day, you know. And those dudes were epic. Paul McNow, you know, Chris Haslam. Like, these guys gave me the time of day, and it was cool. So that kind of became my little clique. When I would show up at these contests, I would just hang out with those guys, you know, and Jeremy Rogers and P-Rod, like, even Evan Hernandez. Like, these guys were, like, they were cool. They were cool to me. And I'll never forget that. And I'll always be grateful for them, especially Jeremy, Paul, and Evan. Those dudes gave me a shot to be there. And I'm forever grateful for that. And, you know,
that was such a golden era too. I'm thinking, you know, 2006, 2007, 2008. And it really felt like you and P-Rod were really battling at a lot of contests, and you were flipping, I think, gold and silver.
Yeah.
It seemed like each year at X Games. And it seems like you two have been really good friends. And anytime we've been together, whether it's Street League or X Games, I can see that relationship is real.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about that friendship that spans, you know, probably 15 plus years with you and Paul.
Man, Paul's the GOAT, bro. He is skateboarding to me. He is skateboarding. And the way he always looked at skateboarding and the way he approached skateboarding was so meticulous and so methodical. And, like, the way he would learn tricks, it wasn't like he would try a trick, land it, and then move on to the next one. He would try a trick and then he would try to land it 100 times so that it was, like, burnt into his brain. And, you know, the way I was skating was I was trying to learn every trick and just, you know, like, boom, boom, boom. But when I started really watching the way P-Rod skated, I was like, oh, okay, this is not a rush. I'm in no rush to, like, have all these tricks. I might as well learn them so that I always have them and not have to go back and relearn tricks. And so I learned so much from Paul. And his faith with Jesus Christ. You know, he's always been a man of faith. And that always stood out to me. And just his calm demeanor, the way he approached his fans, the way he talked to his fans. Like, I might be P-Rod's biggest fan. And, you know, have always been. And then once I got the opportunity to be on Plan B with him, it was like, that's when I thought I made it. You know, I really did think like that was it for me. I was like, oh, I made it. I'm on the same team with P-Rod, my favorite dude, who actually like cares about me and would have really in-depth conversations just about life, not even about skateboarding, just real life. And I could always bounce questions off him. And yeah, I'm forever grateful for P-Rod. And, you know, even to this day, we're homies. And, you know, he's had such an amazing career. And, you know, he didn't even get injured until, you know, he was like 34. You know, the dude made it that
Wild.
he had the longest run I've ever heard of. And then, you know, got his knee surgery. And then if you watch him right now, he didn't skip a beat, you know, because he takes care of himself. He takes care of his body, and he's a man of God. And, you know, he has a gift and he has a purpose. And I respect everything about Paul, everything. And I have from a little kid.
Tell us about Plan B and the return of the super team. I think when Danny and Colin were trying to put the team back together, Plan B, like what was that like, getting that call, recruited for Plan B?
That was wild. It was wild, man, because it was just one of those things, you know. And I was riding for, you know, it started at World Industries, and then it started at Clockwork. I rode for Clockwork Skateboards, which was Brian Patch's company. And then got the call from Rodney Mullen, which is wild. That's back when we had house phones still. So he called the house phone, and my dad answered the phone, and, you know, Rodney in his really calm kind of voice was just like, "Hey, Mr. Sheckler, this is Rodney Mullen. I'd like to talk to your son." And my dad was like, "No, it's not. Don't ever call this house again, like blah, blah, blah." And I was like in the living room, and I was like, "Who is that?" It's like some guy saying he was Rodney Mullen. I was like, "Dad, no, like, no." I was like, I think at that point you could do like star 69 to like call someone back, you know? And like, we didn't do it. And Rodney, like, I think he probably gathered his thoughts and called us back. And my dad was like, "If this is Rodney," I forget. I was just like, "Let me talk to him." And then the second Rodney said "what up" to me, I knew it was him. And he asked me if I wanted to ride for Almost. Him and Day One were starting Almost. And I was just like, "Yeah, bro, like, of course, thank you. I won't let you down," you know? And from that point, we got to do Almost round 3, which was epic. And I think that was like kind of my standout video part that, you know, kind of established me in the street world as well. I had a few like digital every day before that, a couple little Vulcan parts, but the Almost part really sold the deal for me. And after that, it was, you know, I was really scared to leave Almost. I didn't want to leave, and I wouldn't have if it wouldn't have been Plan B. You know, I would have been on Almost for life. But once I got the opportunity to get on Plan B, I knew it was serious, and I knew that's I don't know. Even back then, I had the feeling I'd be on Plan B for the rest of my life, and turns out that's how it's going to be. Yeah. So, you know, I'm part owner in Plan B now, and that was always kind of the goal, was to either have my own company or to be an owner in something that I believed in. And dude, it was like the first trip, I think I was 15 or 16 maybe, and had never really hung out with Danny, but he was like, "You're coming with me, we're rooming together." And we went to the Surf Expo in Orlando with the team, and it was wild.
I can't imagine rooming with Danny Way. Yeah, as like a 15-year-old Danny Way and Ryan Sheckler.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And man, yeah, just thinking about that, it was wild, you know. It was wild, and I knew that that's where I should be and where I wanted to be. And, you know, it was me, P-Rod, Gallant, Jeremy Rogers. I don't know if Darrell Stanton was still on the team. He might have just got off. Brian Winning. It was wild, dude. Yeah, it was the glory days for me, honestly. And then obviously the team now is epic, and and super tight. And, you know, it's the whole next chapter. It's the next chapter of Plan B that's cracking right now. And
so what's that like for you now as a part owner? You talk about the team now, obviously with Chris Joslin and Felipe Gustavo and Aurelia.
Yeah.
Like, how does your role change? Do you have any sort of added responsibilities now that, you know, you're signing a lot of stuff now?
Yeah. I mean, I think my responsibility is still to skate, and that's how I've kept it. And that's how I've like really structured, you know, my ownership in the brand is like, I don't want to be in the business meetings. I don't want to be in the financial meetings. I want to be on the road with the boys skating. And if down the line it comes to the point where it's like, you know, maybe I'm not skating as much, but I don't see that happening any time in the near future, then yeah, maybe I'll get more involved with what's going on, you know, financial wise or, you know, that structure. But at this point, my role is to be on the road with the boys and skate and go to contests and support. And it's just a support. It's a support thing. It's the same way Danny treated me when I got on. It's the same way that I treat every newcomer that comes on to the team. It's like, man, welcome to the family. And, you know, if there's an experience that I've been through that can benefit you or can maybe help you through a situation you're coming up in, I'm all ears, and I'll explain what I've been through. And a lot of times that's kind of where I sit with these guys is they're like, well, I'm getting this offer from this, and, you know, I just don't know if I want to be in this situation. I'm like, well, this is what happened with me. And then it kind of brings some clarity to the table. So it's literally just, it's the same thing Danny did for me, that like, you know, I'm 30 now, which is, you know, it's not old by any means, but I've been in the game for a minute, dude. Been skating for 28 years now, and I've been through it.
Do you think Street League achieved what it set out to do? I think about the early days, and probably, you know, obviously I was there early on too, but when Rob Dudek came to you and shared the vision, you know, 10 plus years ago,
yeah.
You know, I'm curious what that conversation was like. And now looking back 10 years later, you know, do you feel like it's sort of accomplished what it tried to do, or what the vision was?
I don't know. It's a tough question. You know, I was the fourth person to sign to Street League. Was there the first 6 years, might have missed a year for injury. And it was, I mean, to be honest, it used to be a lot more fun. And it used to be a lot more fun. It used to be big obstacles. Like, it used to be, I don't know, it used to be wild. There was like, you know, when you showed up to Street League, you knew that you were hucking. Like, you knew that it was about to be on, and hopefully you were on that day, because if you weren't, you were definitely getting bodied on some of these obstacles. And to me, it made it more, it made me focus more. It made me more intense, which I like. I liked that. I liked being intense on my board, because I knew it meant something. I knew it meant, like, if you landed, you know, the full cab flip that I did off the bump at Street League, that's the best one, best feeling I've had to this day on my skateboard, maybe besides the Costco kickflip. And, you know, and that was in a contest that happened, but that was how real Street League was. It was like, it was no joke. When you were landing tricks there, big tricks, it was like, you might as well put them in your video part, because the shit was real. It was real. Now I feel it's just the natural progression of skateboarding. It's gotten a lot more technical, kind of a lot more robotic in my eyes. I feel that, you know, a lot of the styles kind of being taken out of skateboarding, which, you know, to me is kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. You know, these kids have grown up with access to the internet, with access to YouTube, and they're watching all these tricks. And that's really why I want to do the Sandlot Times thing too, is to like get back to the essence of skateboarding, the way that the board feels when you're rolling, you know, the like, the sound it makes, you know, like the bearings, like the feel of like running on, you know, rough ground, like how it tickles your feet, you know, there's so many aspects of skateboarding, to me that was the reason I love it, and the reason I still love it to this day. So, you know, there's a little bit of an essence to me that's missing, but I'm sure that, you know, the generation before me is saying the same thing about the generation I was in. So I think it's just honestly the natural progression. Yeah, tricks are nuts right now.
I thought one of the coolest parts about Street League, as you said, was not necessarily about like who won or even standings, but you got to see guys that you didn't generally see on the contest scene, and you got to see their style on display. Like I remember getting to watch Dylan Reeder or Austin Gillette like skate, and it's like, where else would you get to see some of these guys skate?
In a video part.
Yeah, in a video part, but like we're in Kansas City in an arena watching these guys skate this insane course. And I was always like, what a pleasure that was. And that was some of like the really like small things that you kind of take for granted at the time. But looking back now, I'm like, man, we got to see some amazing things that didn't really matter. Guys weren't caring about winning or losing this contest.
No, because at the end of the day, you knew that everyone put in the work to get into that final. That final was bananas every time. It didn't matter. We all won because we made it to the final, because we knew how much hard work it took to get there. And it was like, dude, Reynolds used to skate in Street League, and that was tight. Yeah. That was tight. And, you know, but, you know, and I'm not dogging Street League at all. I'm not dogging it. It's, you know, it is the contest format that's basically, you know, formed the Olympics, you know, for us. And it's cool. I just, you know, for me, I wish the obstacles were still big. I wish the courses were still big and like gnarly. And now it's all geared toward this, you know, kind of technical robotic ledge flat bar skating. And it's cool. It's just not like, to me, I want to skate faster than that. I want to drop higher than that. But, you know, you got to adapt.
When did it click for you? Because I feel like that's always been your philosophy. You've always wanted to go big. You've always looked for the biggest feature, and you've wanted to do that gnarly trick. And it's kind of that get rich or die trying. I've watched you do it time and time again. And it's like 3-run format be damned. Even after the contest, you're going to keep going for it. And I just think at a certain point, you almost sacrifice the potential to win a contest for the pride of being able to land a big trick off of a big feature. Have you always been wired that way, or did it ever at one point go, you know what, I don't actually care about winning this contest at this point. I'm going to get this trick?
That's an interesting question. I've always, like, trust me, I'm going there to win. Every time I go there, I'm going there to win. But there's a point where that gets almost too nerve-wracking, or like it starts becoming not fun, if that makes sense, where it's like, man, I'm putting so much pressure on myself to try to do these runs. And, you know, you do 9 tricks in a run and you get a 6, and then you do 1 trick and you get a 9 or an 8, and the logic of it doesn't make sense to me at all. And so when that started happening, I was like, well, man, what am I here for? I'm here for myself. I'm here to be a skateboarder, and I'm here to skate the way that I skate. So yeah, cool. I didn't make it as far as I wanted to, but with these 5 tries, I'm still going to try to land something that I can leave this contest knowing that I got that feeling, the feeling of the flick, the catch, the land, the crowd. That's what I was looking for. The win would have been awesome. You know, it would have been, but I'll put my body on the line to land 1 trick. And I've always been that way. I don't know why, but there's something about landing bolts on a trick that you have set your mind on. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely worked against me countless times. You know, I broke left elbow 5 or 6 times, my right elbow 4 times, broke my right ankle twice, Liz Frank injury in contest at XGames, broke my left foot, left ankle, tore both my knees. You know, it's concussions, the whole nine, dude. But that's because I love skateboarding and I love the feeling of skateboarding and the feeling of rolling away from a big trick. And no one can ever take that away from me. That's where skateboarding becomes real personal to me. Is like, well, I lost. So what? Let's still do something cool for me.
Right. It's interesting because I would say over the last probably close, shoot, 7, 8 years, I think Nigel Houston's dominance has certainly kind of changed the way we look at results of skateboard contests.
Yep.
But for the most part, skateboarding, core skateboarding, it's never been about how many contests you've won. Obviously, you've got 7 XGames medals, you've won 3 gold, you've won every skateboard event there is to win. But your fan base or the people that are influenced by your skateboarding, the wins and loss record of contests play a very small part, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't really think I don't think it matters, Of course, I'd love to have more wins, but I mean, at the end of the day, dude, I'm 30 years old and I'm still skating and I'm still psyched on it and I still have the passion. And it's like, contest wins or not, you're not going to take the passion from me. And that's the coolest thing. And, Nisha's a freak of nature. That dude's a freak. He's the best skateboarder on the planet. And the way he skates is beyond consistent. His tricks he does are incredible. And yeah, the dude deserves it. He puts in the work, he puts in the time, and he is unstoppable. He is unstoppable. It's very similar to like Tony Hawk, the first 100 contests Tony skated in, he won 76 of them, 74 of them, something like that, some crazy stat. And, Nigel's on the same trajectory to do that. He's the most winning skateboarder, ever. And the cool thing with Nigel is that he goes into the streets and does insane street parks. And he's the best dude. Like you can't take that away from him. He puts in the work on competition and in the streets. And I don't know if anyone will ever win more than Nigel.
Can you draw parallels between, especially the start of your career being so young, so successful, spotlight, sponsors, obviously TV, everything that comes with it? You were like right at pre-social media and then the explosion, certainly. But then seeing Nigel obviously was handled a little differently. Certainly his dad kind of kept him from, I think, fully actualizing into the young man that he would eventually become. But could you see that early on, maybe a parallel between kind of how his sort of meteoric uprising and to yours as a young teenager as well?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It is, we're only, I think he's 25, maybe 24?
Yeah, I think he's turning 26 this year. Yeah.
26. Okay. Yeah. So, I was at his birthday. 25. Yeah. So, even with the 5-year gap, it was like, I remember seeing Nigel in these contests, when I was 13 and 14, like he was in, he was coming up through the Dew Tours. He was in the Maloof Money Cups. And yeah, my structure when I was growing up was like, yeah, cool. I skated a lot, but I was also, racing dirt bikes and racing go-karts and, going to school. And like, I wasn't as focused.
Right.
I was focused, but it wasn't my everything, it wasn't my everything. And I think for Nigel and the way that his pops helped him learn how to skate was like a little bit more of a militant style where it was like, no, you're going to work on these tricks today and tomorrow and all week until you get them dialed, which is awesome. Look at him now. The dude is unstoppable still. But our upbringings were a lot different, for sure, a lot different. But it's the determination. It was the determination to win, the determination to continuously learn new tricks and to just keep upping and upping your own level. And, it's crazy. I watch even the way he does, nollie heel or switch heels. It's the same way he did them when he was a kid. And it's like those lessons that his dad, taught him through just structure and just like, you're gonna skate. You still see it in everything today. And I'm happy for him, dude. I'm happy that Yeah, he's got a good group of friends. I'm happy that you know he's stayed on, and you know we all go through interesting trials and tribs, and we have our issues and our problems, and you know that's just human nature. That's being a human being, and but I think he's done a great job, dude. I think he really has,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, I'm psyched for him. You know, I'm psyched for him, and I just you know I wish him nothing but the best, dude. And I know he's not stopping skating. So,
No,
you know,
no.
we got many years of watching the Niger show.
Well, you bring up a good point, and that is the blueprint for sort of that. I don't want to say post career, but all you've known is skateboarding contests
Yeah,
since you were a preteen. Now, at 30 years old, you're still entering contests, you're filming, you've got all your different projects that you're doing. There is no, it's not like NFL or Major League Baseball or NBA guy announces his retirement and then like gets into the broadcast booth or starts working as a GM for a team. There is no structural like, hey, here's what you do as a pro skater when you're ready to quote unquote hang it up.
yeah,
So I think it allows you the creativity to do a lot of different things. And it,
for
you know,
sure.
obviously you're not letting up at any point. But it's just crazy to think now at 30 years old, Ryan Sheckler, you've got your finger on the pulse of like, what's next?
Yeah, you know, I don't get too deep into those thoughts. So, you know, it's like I'm pretty cool with what's gonna happen is gonna happen. For me, I do want to skateboard. I want to skate and I want to film video parts. So at this point, I feel I have the time and the skill and the mental ability to actually go film the video parts that I've wanted to film, you know, since I was 16, 17, you know,
Right.
up until now. My years have been, you know, there was years that I was on the road for, you know, 7 or 8 months out of the year, scattered, you know, like I had no time. I had no time to do that. It was all contests. It was obligations. It was, you know, appearances here and there and things of that nature. And um, right now, I really feel that I'm able to be me. I'm able to really make decisions that impact my life, you know, and it's not dictated by a sponsor or anything. My sponsors I've been with for so long. You know, I've been on Oakley for, man, coming up on 23 years, and Etnies for almost 24. It's like, you know, Red Bull for 15. And um, it's yeah, they're sponsors, but it's more like family at this point.
Yeah,
It's a
you've got
partner.
the autonomy to
Yeah, it's
do
like
whatever you want to do. Yeah.
it's a partnership, and you know, like what I want to do is help these brands, you know, to grow as well, and to find the next, you know, the next young cats that are coming up that, you know, maybe catch my eye. And that's been also really cool with Plan B, is I've been able to kind of sit back a little bit and like really watch more skateboarding and watch these new kids coming up, and you know, have a say in who's like who we should get on the teams. And like, I don't know, it's a whole different role. But at the end of the day, and at the bottom of the roll, I guess you say the top of the roll is still skateboarding.
Skateboarding.
Yeah. And so, and that'll never change, you know. I'm gonna be 60 years old doing kickflips, period. You know,
We're
like
gonna hold you to that, man. I
I
believe
can't
it.
wait.
I believe it, man.
You know, I want to be the grandpa that's, you know, still showing the grandkids how to do it, you know. And that's, I don't, you know, God willing, I can skate for the rest of my life, and I can help people through my story and situations that I've been through. And you know, I have an incredible life story, and I've been through incredible injuries and trials and tribulations mentally and physically. And um, I have a story to tell, and it's not anywhere near being over.
No. Speaking of story to tell, your ink. I've always been fascinated with like over time how the tattoos have just like what a body of work you've got, man. So like,
Yeah.
what's the latest you've got? Like, what was the last tattoo you got?
The last tattoo I got, I got a Flame Boy tattoo on my thigh,
Okay.
just to pay homage to World
World,
Industries.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it's the evil one with the horns up. um, But yeah, man, I mean, I'm I'm almost out of real estate at this point. I'm keeping my stomach open for as long as possible, but you know, I added all the stuff around the neck, and it goes all the way into the back, and it's all yeah, it's everywhere. You know, for me, the tattoos started playing a real big part in my recovery of injuries, because there's a weird feeling that I get right before the tattoo. Feels like right before you drop in, right before I drop in for a contest. You know, it's like this weird adrenaline. You're kind of sweating, and no matter how many tattoos you have, it doesn't matter. You get the same feeling each time, and then it's almost like a mental battle to be okay with the torture of it. And I don't know why, but you know, it's probably from how much pain I've been in through skateboarding and just the injuries that I've had, that it feels normal to be in pain. I don't know. I have a really high pain tolerance, and um, I enjoy it. It's weird. I enjoy getting tattooed, and um, everything kind of, you know, meshes together, and it's, you know, it's become a, you know, like my body is just like an artwork at this point. And um yeah, I won't ever get my neck tattooed or my face. If I ever start losing hair, I will get my whole skull
You'll go
tattooed.
skull? Okay.
Yeah. um
Do you
but
have one? Do you have one tattoo artist that you go to, or does it depend
I
on
have
who you
I have
are?
like two guys I use a lot, and Franco Vescovi. They're local artists from down here, and they're incredible, you know. And I feel like a lot of tattoo collectors, once you find your guy, or a few of your guys, you don't really venture away from them, because your body starts actually like flowing. And it's cool. A lot of the international trips that I would go on, if we were bored, we would go get, like, you know, just kind of small ones.
Hmm.
So I got a lot of travel tattoos as well, and then a lot of homie tattoos. I've let a bunch of my friends like tattoo on me, who are not good artists at all, but those are the ones, you know, those are the stories, and those are the memories of, I don't know, they're just memories, dude.
How old were you when you got your first? And who
I
did it?
was 17. I was 17, and it was in Las Vegas at Hart and Huntington, and the artist was Twig, this guy named Twig.
Yeah.
And my first tattoo was Sheckler across
Was
my back.
the back
Yeah.
piece? Wow, that was
Yeah.
your first. Damn.
Yeah, so I kind of just jumped in, you know. I had no idea. I had no idea what it was going to feel like, what it, you know, like what the process was. And yeah, that tattoo took 4 hours, maybe a little over 4 hours, and it was painful and it hurt for sure. But there's like there's a smell. There's like a certain smell in the tattoo shops. And just the sound of the machines, and like the whole,
Yeah, it's called burnt flesh, Ryan.
yeah,
That's what
something. It could be that. It could be that. But I don't know. There's a vibe to it. You know, the tattoo shop is a vibe. It's just an art gallery, and you know, these guys are incredible artists, and to be able to do art like that on skin, I was intrigued from the start. And it was also like, from being at Do Tour for so many years, you know, hanging out with the motocross dudes,
uh-huh.
seeing them all tatted up, and I was just like, man, I just like that look. Like, I like that look, you know. And I got ideas, but there was a period of time where I was going every 2 weeks. I would go. I'm pretty symmetrical with my tattoos, so I didn't want to have like one side of my body fill up before the other. So if I did right leg, I'd do left leg the next week, and then I just like would wait for that one to heal a little bit, and then I'd go back, and I just flip-flopped. I flip-flopped all the way until it's like, sometimes I look down and I'm like, oh, I maybe got a little carried away, but it is what it is. I love them. I love them. I actually don't have one tattoo that I don't like, you know?
That's saying something. Hey, last thing before I let you go. I've always thought this, because I think with, you know, being as successful as you are, there's a lot of perks, right? But you have to balance it out in life. Can you go anywhere? Can Ryan Sheckler go anywhere without either A, being noticed, or B, being asked to take a selfie or an autograph? Like, can you go out anywhere with like your family or even solo without anybody saying what's up to you?
Not really.
And
It's
what's
cool.
that like? I mean, does it ever get old?
No, it doesn't get old, man. It really doesn't. And it's not like an ego thing, you know. I'm not like, oh yeah, I can't go anywhere. It's not like that. My demeanor around the streets, my demeanor is the same as it is right now, always. And I love my fans, dude. I love them so much. And um, I'll take a photo anytime. I'll say what's up to anyone at any time that they come up to me. You know, the rough ones will be like, you know, mid bite with food, and they're like, hey, can I get a photo? And you're like, really? Like right now? Like, give me a second, let me finish this bite. But that's the only time I ever get kind of a little bit bugged by it, is just like, man, let me just eat real quick, you know. But um especially if I have the Red Bull hat on, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty much asking to take a photo with someone. And but it's cool, man. It's cool. It I don't know. It makes me psyched. You know, they know what I do, and in a sense, it kind of validates it validates all the injuries and all the, you know, the craziness that I've been through. And you know, at some points it feels appreciated, and that's cool. You know, it's cool to me. And if it stopped, you know, it'd be no big deal. But as of right now, yeah, it's still going. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I know it. I believe it, man. Well, Shex, I appreciate the time. I was gonna say, I know you're a busy man, but it's not like you're going anywhere these days.
No,
I know we had to set this up, but man,
yeah.
thank you so much, dude, from everything that you've done and accomplished and are doing. Man, skateboarding appreciates you. We appreciate you, and it's a bummer that X Games obviously just announced it was being canceled this summer, unfortunately. But
I know.
hopefully we can get you back out there, man.
I heard that. Yeah. Well, I'm not going anywhere, man, and I'm skating, and I'll be healthy for next year. So you know,
We're gonna hold you to that.
oh yeah, no, X Games is my favorite contest. It's always been, always will be. And there's a vibe to it. There's a vibe to the fans. And yeah, I mean, I'm forever grateful to X Games for the opportunity when I was 13. You know, and especially with all the work X Games does and ESPN does with you know, my foundation and all the hard work and help that they put in to me. So I'm very thankful. And you know, I would love to compete 2021. So
yeah, man. Well, we'll mark it down. Skateboarding, filming, Sheckler Foundation. You're busy, but we really appreciate the time, Ryan. All the best, man, and just continue to have a great springtime, great quarantine, and hopefully we can link up this summer, man.
we will, for sure. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Ryan. Always a pleasure.
God bless y'all.